This is an Elder Scrolls channel, but as you may guess, I'm also a huge fan of Bethesda-style sandbox RPGs with their grand scope, incredible interactivity in the world, the sophistication of their game mechanics, and the attempts at adding simulation systems to their sandboxes. In 2023, when I was evaluating Starfield, one of the main attractions for me was the game's skill system. This system had a wide variety of skills under 5 main categories: physical, social, combat, science, and tech. Each category features 4 tiers, which are unlocked by completing challenges and investing skill points. I thought this system was brilliant. They somehow combined the classic Fallout-style generic XP system with the learn-as-you-do system of the Elder Scrolls games, which I love. With such a large number of skills, I can plan and roleplay a variety of characters, as you can see here. I have completed 2 planned short Starfield playthroughs with highly specialized characters having a defined start and end. Allowed to pick and choose city quests, side quests, companion and faction quest lines, and other content for each playthrough. This is how I play Bethesda games: short playthroughs with highly specialized characters and selected questing content. Using your creative faculties to plan builds and roleplay your character is one of the most underappreciated aspects of Starfield and Bethesda games. On top of that, we are blessed with how moddable these games are. With a passionate modding community, games like Morrowind and Skyrim will be eternal installs on my PC. Despite all of these positives, sometimes I wish Bethesda would go back to its roots. This week I got Obsidian space RPG, The Outer Worlds and its DLC on sale for around $8. I finished the first act in one sitting and loved it. Many of the systems and mechanics of this game reminded me of old school Bethesda and traditional RPGs. In this video, I highlight a few core areas where Bethesda could think about going back to the old ways for the better. This is not a Bethesda bad, Obsidian good video like you find on the internet. Both Starfield and Outer Worlds are RPGs set in space, and they have their own merits. Starfield is better than the Outer Worlds in some areas, but not in others. So let's get started then. The first thing that caught my attention in the Outer Worlds was how lockpicking and hacking were character skill based. Just like in Morrowind, you click to pick a lock and the character attempts to pick it ineffectively at the start and confidently once his or her lockpicking skill is at a high level. Same thing with hacking. The user initiates the process and the player character attempts to hack the system using their skill. Character skills are core RPG elements that determine your character capabilities in combat, dialogue, and other activities. After Morrowind, Bethesda has focused on player skill, and thus we have lockpicking minigames in Oblivion, Skyrim, and Starfield. And we have the hacking minigame in Fallout 3 and 4. Oblivion and Starfield also had minigames to persuade NPCs. These minigames are a nice novelty at the start, but quickly get tedious. I always install mods to make them easy. When it comes to combat, I would prefer player strategy, but the skill should be all character. I tell him to attack and the character skills determine the efficiency of each hit. Instead of this weird hybrid system we have in Oblivion and Skyrim. Another thing that caught my attention was how in the Outer Worlds we have ADA, an advanced AI aboard our ship. It controls the navigation and communication systems of the ship. Starfield 2 could have had something similar and gotten rid of space flight. After all, we hardly use the spaceship to fly anywhere. In Starfield, why is the player forced to fight enemies in space? This is a space RPG, and I am role-playing as a businessman character who has no interest in flying a ship. Why is the main quest forcing me to destroy ships? This is bad design. It almost feels like Bethesda wants everyone to play with their toys as soon as possible. Let the player use a minigun, wear power armor, and kill a deathclaw in Fallout 4, or fight enemies using a spaceship in Starfield. There is absolutely zero consideration for role-playing. What a shame. Our Lord and Savior, Todd, says Bethesda games are all about how the player tells their story and can be whoever they want. Yet our characters are railroaded into doing things they don't want to do. I hope someday the management at Bethesda will realize that all the time and effort spent on developing these mini-games will only lead to player alienation. I also hope that in time they consider role-playing at every stage instead of behaving like children who can't wait to show off their new shiny toys. When it comes to character sheets, Obsidian really goes above and beyond to show every facet of your character. Do note that I'm only judging the UX design and not critiquing the systems. We have a beautiful summary screen showing player attributes, skills, backgrounds, flaws and more. Then we have the skill screen which shows each skill and all the Oblivion style mastery perks that the character acquires when certain milestones are hit. Then we have the perks UI, which is self-explanatory, and a detailed screen which includes all the derived stats like armor rating, health regeneration, character speed stats and more. Finally, we have a reputation screen where all factions are listed along with the player character's relationship with each faction. Compare this to Bethesda's approach of not caring about all of this. Skyrim does not have a character sheet. Unbelievable, right? To view your skills data, you have to go through the Constellation menu. There is no UI to see the character's derived stats, nor do we have a faction screen. Starfield has a tiny character sheet that shows some stats along with the selected background and traits. But to view your skills data, you have to go through the skills menu. There is no summary or extensive details. Again, there is no faction screen. Morrowind was the last game that had real faction locking and rivalries. Oblivion was the last game with a faction reputation screen. Bethesda games are sandbox RPGs where faction stories are more important than even the main quest in many cases. The fact that they don't care about highlighting this key facet of their games is really sad. Next, let's take a look at the inventory UI of Outer Worlds. You have a grid that shows weapons or armor or other consumables based on the active tab. Everything is neat and we can see most items on the screen at a single glance. Compare this approach to Starfield's inventory UI where you spend time scrolling endlessly to find a specific item. Bethesda created the vertical scroller UI in Skyrim and it has made its appearance in Starfield as well. In what universe is vertical scrolling a better experience? Are Bethesda developers not gamers? Do they realize that the community fixed Skyrim's awful UI with the release of Sky UI in 2013 and most players prefer it over vanilla? I hope the management of Bethesda in the future puts some thought and effort into their UI designs. I completed all the quests of the first act of the Outer Worlds and I must say we have some incredible quest design and writing here. Almost every quest has optional objectives and different ways to finish them. The developers really focused on offering role-playing choices in dialogue. If I wanted to respond to an NPC with a specific thought, there was a dialogue option. Most quests offered player agency. If the player character takes some initiative to do some investigation on the side, we get new dialogue options. I can see why people praise the writing and quests of the Outer Worlds.
Gold does not decompose. The teeth had to be removed. And while I am no licensed dentist, I should think I did a fair job of it. I cannot tell you how refreshing it is to converse with a rational mind. That's exactly right. Rot is necessary for life. A corpse is bursting with the nutrients a young sapling craves.
If you have watched my Beyond Skyrim Bruma quest design review videos, I talk about how most vanilla Skyrim side quests focus on presentation with their visuals and dramatic touches. But they were awfully simplistic, linear, and the player hardly had to make a meaningful choice. The quests in Beyond Skyrim Bruma had a similar design philosophy to the Outer Worlds, with choices, branches, and role-playing as the key differentiators. In my honest opinion, Bethesda has improved on this by quite a bit since the days of Skyrim and Fallout 4. I really felt the management has taken in the criticism, and in Starfield we see fewer linear quests and more choices and branches. I recently played through the Ryujin Industries faction questline as the endgame for my character Belina Lalu. All quests were interesting, with most of them offering more than one ways of solving a problem. I started the questline at level 40 with stealth and social skills maxed out. We had skills and traits that appeared in dialogue, and most characters were interesting and had tons of things to say. But for me, the best aspect of the questline was the open-ended nature of the missions. In one quest, we had to get permission from the administrator of Neon City to meet a local gang. If we do that, the quest goes in one direction. If we don't ask the administrator for permission and just go in, then you have to go through a bonus mission that wraps up the story of a character you meet during the first quest at the coffee shop. Background checks and guilty parties was the most impressive quest in my opinion. You have multiple ways of doing a few tasks within the quest and also a huge choice at the end. The final quest also was interesting. You get two ways of infiltrating the rival corporation with an open-ended design. I have a feeling the management at Bethesda has learnt its lessons. They have realized that linear quests and pandering to the masses in Skyrim and Fallout 4 has resulted in a lot of criticism, so they doubled down on Starfield's questing. With the likes of John Dombrow from BioWare, who joined Bethesda recently, and Chris Takahashi, who worked on some memorable Starfield quests, and one of my all-time favorite Skyrim mods interesting in PCs, I hope Bethesda keeps improving on their narrative and quest designs with Elder Scrolls 6. Coming back to the Outer Worlds, at the end of Act 1, we have to make two huge decisions. Decision 1. Our character has to either divert power to the town of Edgewater or the settlement of Botanical Gardens. Decision 2. Our character has to then convince Reed, the leader of Edgewater, to step down and let Adelaide, the leader of the Botanical Gardens community, to move her community to Edgewater. You can kill either one of them or both of them. Every decision has consequences for the people of the Emerald Vale. In modern Bethesda games, such big choices are limited, and many characters are marked as essential. This ensures that you can't kill important NPCs. We have seen this trend in Oblivion, Skyrim, Fallout 4, and it continues in Starfield, as you can see here. Why does Bethesda do this? My theory is that they do not want to put in the effort to work on alternative branches when important characters die. That is such a shame. Back in the Outer Worlds, we make our decisions and leave the Emerald Vale and get to speak to Parvati.
It's your ship? Oh my stars, she is just so handsome! Does she have a name yet? What's her drive model? Oh, gosh. Listen to me babbling. When I was in Edgewater, I dreamed of flying on a real ship, working on a real engine, belonging to a proper crew. I'm the only decent mechanic Edgewater's got, but every time I think of going back, I get this sinking feeling. I want to ask you something, and you can say no, but can I come with you? I could tend to your engine. I know my G-valves for my catalyzers, and I can keep your ship singing. And if you ever need a pair of eyes watching your back, I can do that too. What do you think? Yeah, I've been thinking about that. Edgewater was on the verge of collapse before you showed up. You sent them power, and now the town might see another season. And you talked Miss McDevitt into coming back to town. Maybe one day, Edgewater will have a garden where that cannery once stood. You ain't exactly a stranger anymore. You've done some kindness hereabouts. I wouldn't mind following somebody like that. Yes! I mean, thanks. You won't regret this, mister.
Parvati was adorable. I mean, how can one say no to her wanting to join the crew? Amazing voice acting and character writing. The other priest companion Vicky Max is on board, and he did not play a major role in Act 1, but he seemed to be a very interesting character. The first act of The Outer Worlds clearly shows that having a dedicated writing team at Obsidian will always result in superior storytelling and consistent quest design. I hope the management of Bethesda in the future will decide to have a dedicated writers instead of quest designers writing stories and put in some effort to code alternative branches if important characters are killed by the player character. There you have it guys, one session of playing the Outer Worlds has resulted in this video. As I've said earlier, I wanted to highlight 3 core areas where Bethesda could improve. If you have more, do share them in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching and see you guys soon on another episode of the Sunday Musings.